Welcome back, everyone. Today we have another League of Legends NECRIT video coming at you. What is the Black Rose? Arcane Lore Explained. We're excited to get into it. Let's do it.
While Arcane is generally seen as great, there were some points in the story where people stopped to think,
What is the Black
the heck
Rose?
is that about? After which,
Yeah,
if you
honestly.
finish the series, you are left thinking, the heck was that about? That's
They never really explained it very well, did they?
No, 100%. Yeah, actually, when I was watching with my wife later, she was like, but they never actually finished that story. What the heck? And then I told, well, Mel actually killed like the lady in the picture right now. Um, which she actually looks cool as fuck. But I think they were just setting up what's to come for the next shows.
Yeah.
right, we are talking about the Black Rose. The one thing in Arcane which many people believe was pointless. All the while, it is a really cool reference and a setup to anyone who knows how deep League's lore is. And so today, in this video,
We know now.
we are fixing that for everyone. Because as it turns out, the Black Rose have a massive influence over the entire universe. And despite their appearance in Arcane confusing a lot of people, I can assure you it all makes perfect sense with the right context. And so, without further ado, let's explain who the Black Rose are, what they do, and what is the likely reason they appeared in Arcane. In order to explain
Yes,
the Rose,
please.
we first briefly have to explain Noxus. In the
We know all about Noxus.
We
present
do
days,
now.
Noxus is an empire that is technically led by 3 people. This was done to prevent possible corruption, with the current leaders being Darius, Swain, and a mysterious figure nobody knows much about. But while these
LeBlanc.
3 are ruling over Noxus, at the same time there is a hidden Cabal which is incredibly powerful, which is secretly trying to wrestle the power from the rulers and use it for a lot of shady stuff, as well as corruption. With the twist being that they are technically doing it all for a noble reason. And of course, this Cabal is known as the Black Rose. Its story started a very long time ago, about 1400 years before the
Look
events
at this
of
timeline.
Arcane.
I know. And the Black Rose was planned
Jesus.
before all of this? Like it
Yeah, I mean,
started
we had
before
the
this?
Rune Wars there, Runation.
Yeah, you
And
remember
it's,
the Darken War, those like massive
yeah.
freaking beasts that were spawned during the
Mm-hmm.
like
And the Black Rose started even before all of this.
yeah.
My gosh.
During an event known as the Reign of the Iron Revenant.
I don't
During
remember
this
this.
time, Valoran,
No,
which
I
is
don't
a
remember that
continent
one.
just north of Piltover and Zone, which is where Arcane happened, was mostly covered by primitive barbarian tribes. And yet, during these times, there were already whispers of a powerful pale witch, whom, in League of Legends, we know as LeBlanc, a master of illusions who has the ability to spread her
Wait, so how old is LeBlanc then?
She's old, but she's looking good.
clones around the world, who also just likes to act from the shadows. And for now, that's exactly what she did. To most people, she was but a myth. So instead, as the barbarian tribes fought for dominance over the entire continent, there was one warlord who rose above the rest. A barbarian known as Sun Uzal. Sun
Whoa.
Uzal was a brutal conqueror.
Who the fuck
We've
is
seen him
Sanu
before.
Zal? Have we?
I remember this image because I told you that he was like a combination between Reinhardt from Overwatch and Sauron.
That's right.
For one simple reason. He believed that after death, all the killing and conquering would earn him a seat at the god's table in the Hall of Bones. And so he conquered for the glory of the gods until he died. But when he
Isn't he
died,
Mordekaiser?
Oh,
He became Mordekaiser?
yes, duh, he does. We should have known that.
Yeah.
Sun Uzal died and then became Mordekaiser in that, like,
Yeah, because he realized that there were no gods, that
Yeah.
because he was doing all the killing and conquering for them, and then when he died, he was like, "Wait, what the fuck? There's no one." So
Instead
I'll
of the
become a god
Hall of
myself.
Bones, he found himself in an empty wasteland, with an occasional lost soul drifting by. This made Sun Uzal quite angry, because it meant his faith was false. There were no gods of the afterlife, and there were no halls of bones. Everything he did was for nothing. But as all the other lesser spirits eventually faded, lost to time, Sun Uzal refused to fade, being quite literally
Fuck
too
yes.
angry to die. His rage and torment held his spirit together, and over time he started understanding that
Do you think NECRIT ever gets tired of explaining the same story over and over again?
No.
No way.
I bet he loves this shit.
He freaking loves it.
He loves it. Look at him in his
faint
face.
whispers around
He's
him,
like so
he
excited of
learned
telling
it
this for
was
the
ok-
100th time.
Nun, the language exclusively spoken by the dead, which gave him the opportunity to form a new plan. Using this language, Sun Uzal whispered temptations into the realms outside, promising power to anyone who would listen. And sure enough, eventually there was a group of sorcerers who heard his whispering, and they promised to bring back Sun Uzal in exchange for his power. Lacking flesh or bones, Sun Uzal told the sorcerers to make him more powerful than any mortal, by binding his
Okay.
soul to metal plates.
We didn't know this. We didn't
No.
know how he came back,
No.
right? We just knew that he refused to die and then he came back, but we just didn't know that he offered power and then a group of sorcerers brought him back to life.
Yeah, who actually brought him back?
Yep,
That image looks sick, by the way.
it does.
That resembled his old armor. And so Sun Uzal rose again, this time as a hulking revenant of iron and hate. Of course, needing a weapon for his conquest. Sun Uzal looked towards the power-hungry mages who resurrected him, and instead of blessing them with his power, he killed them all with his bare hands. And he forged their souls into a massive mace known as Nightfall. The mages
the
tried
fuck?
to scream out his
What
name
was
to
this?
banish, known as Nightfall. The mages
Nightfall?
Nightfall.
Of course, this fucking mace has to have a name like that. Nightfall.
I mean, it has souls in it. It has to have a name.
That's true.
Right?
That's very true. Gee.
tried to scream out his name to banish him. Because in League's universe, knowing someone's real name allows you to do some magical stuff with them. But this time, it was no use. Because Sun Uzal was no more. Now, his true name was spoken in Oknun. It was Mordekaiser. And so,
Yep.
Mordekaiser's second conquest of the world began. But now, as he marched across the continent, to everyone else, it really seemed like he only cared about massacre and destruction. He didn't care about controlling territory or ruling the world. Now it seemed like he only cared about wiping it out. And of course, Mordekaiser
Jesus.
had his motivations for this, which would be revealed later. First, to kickstart his reign as the Emperor of Death, Mordekaiser raised the Immortal Bastion at the center of his empire. Now, from the pictures, this bastion may not look that big. But in
What?
reality, in this universe, this is the biggest building that was ever constructed. At least that's how Noxians describe it. Maybe it is on par with something like
They're
the Sun
embellishing
Disk.
it.
Anyway, the
Yeah, I
common
was gonna
folk
say
always
the disc is huge, like the solar disc that they have on the
Yeah.
other land.
There's no
Forgot the
way.
name of the land.
They just
Yeah,
they
that
got
looks massive.
it's a competition of who's bigger. That's all it is.
Yeah,
We're
it's
bigger, I
I could
promise.
call that. It's
A
a
dick measuring
competition.
contest.
Yeah.
always assumed that this was just a seat of power. But in reality, Mordekaiser used it to hide secrets. He hungered for knowledge of spirits and death, and the true understanding of a realm or multiple realms beyond. This meant that Mordekaiser used the Immortal Bastion as a massive treasury to hoard artifacts, tomes, or even spirits, all of which would be hidden underneath the bastion. As an example, this is where Mordekaiser tortured Vigar, a Yordle who once used to be a happy fellow, but then he
Oh,
What?
how could
He
you
tortured a Yordle?
how could you possibly torture a Yordle?
I guess Mordekaiser doesn't give a fuck.
That's terrible. They're so cute.
It is terrible.
What did they say his name was? Vigar? All right. Poor Vigar out here. I mean, he looks pretty cool. Little hat dude.
He broke him for the knowledge of Yordle magic, and eventually
Oh, so he broke him just to get the knowledge of the Yordle magic? Jesus. Mordekaiser's like, he should be the most broken character in the game, it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
Mordekaiser even acquired two powerful beasts, which he used to conquer the world. He had the fiery demon known as Tybulk, which could set ablaze entire cities, and a shadowy monster known as Atakan, the bringer of ruin. With
What?
all of this
Holy
accumulated power,
shit, bro.
Mordekaiser became unstoppable. In fact, it
Yeah, I
made the
bet.
entire rest of the continent filled with the Noxai tribes to band together against him. But as was soon apparent, even that wasn't enough. However, thankfully, the entire time, someone was watching Mordekaiser's story from the shadows. Because the entire time,
LeBlanc.
the pale sorceress of the old legends,
I was
LeBlanc,
wondering when she was coming in.
secretly among Mordekaiser's closest advisors. She saw how he was slowly destroying the world, and so she had a plan to stop him from within. A plan that required a powerful alliance to stop Mordekaiser forever. But for this, we have to go back in time before the point where San Uzal became a living warlord. Here we get to an event known
We're going back further in time. Holy shit.
as the Great Darkin War.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very long and quite complex story, but don't worry, we don't need all the details. Just know that during these events, there was a race of demigods known as the Darkin who were scattered across the entire world,
Yep.
who lost their leader, and so now they were fighting for dominance using blood magic, meaning that they could reshape their bodies into whatever they deemed powerful, oftentimes turning themselves into hulking bloody titans. And well, once upon a time, as the world was being
shit.
ravaged by the Darkin, very far away there was another continent called Kamavor, which was mostly
Kamavor.
controlled by
This
a
one?
feared holy kingdom. But even this kingdom was afraid of what the Darkin were capable of. And so, to keep the monsters away from their continent, the kingdom of Kamavor traded Prince Vladimir to the Darkin as a hostage.
Oh, Vlad? I didn't
Oh, wait a
realize
second.
Vladimir was from Camavor.
Yeah, and I mean on the cinematic that we watched the other day, he was so he is the how do you call it? The alliance that she made, LeBlanc,
Yeah, yeah.
right? We
I-
saw them together.
We did. Yeah, in that cinematic. Yep.
And now we know he's not a vampire.
he kind of looks like one, okay?
He does.
And his name's Vladimir. Come on.
Turns out, Vladimir had quite the talent for arcane magic, and so believing himself to be absolutely above a mere mortal, and therefore worthy of the blood transmuting
no.
power, for their amusement, the Darkin allowed Vladimir to study this terrifying magic. And soon enough, Vladimir became the first ever mortal to master
What? He knows blood magic?
Jesus.
What the
God.
fuck?
Okay.
So, him and I'm assuming
LeBlanc.
Jesus, that I mean, they gotta be the two strongest then.
So they're gonna
Hemomancy.
go against
After-
Mordekaiser, right?
Yeah, yeah. Form this alliance to try and take down Mordekaiser so he doesn't destroy the entire world.
which the Darkin would allow him to use it to enforce their will on lesser beings. Now, skipping forward quite a bit, eventually through the interference of celestial beings, the Darkin were banished away. They were sealed inside weapons and scattered across the world, leaving behind just a cataclysmically ravaged world. And directly after that is when the barbarian tribes rise, which is when San Uzal's story happens, where he is resurrected as Mordekaiser. Well, you see, as Mordekaiser, as an undead warlord, was now conquering the world again, along the eastern coasts of Valoran, stories of a bloodthirsty fiend demanding sacrifices and worship spread around. This fiend turned out to be Vladimir, who united some of the local tribes
That
in his
image.
worship. For a while, he was seen as a barbarian god, until the moment his lair was approached by a certain pale sorceress. That night, the two feasted as equals. They weaved magic so dark the wine at the table soured, and roses withered, turning from vibrant red to black. And thus began the pact between
Oh.
Vladimir, the first ever
Oh,
Hemomancer,
bro, this
and
is so
LeBlanc.
fucking cool.
I know. I love it. Like, just I want to know what magic that they were weaving and casting when they were having this meeting.
No.
The Witch of Legends, who still has a mysterious origin.
Witch
We
of
don't know much
Legends.
about that. But together, these powerful mages would play games of politics and war across Valorant, in a newly established cabal that became known as the Black Rose. But first, there was a threat they had to deal with. So, at the peak of Mordekaiser's reign, after allying with the tribe that Vladimir brought together, secretly, LeBlanc helped the entire continent to band together and strike at Mordekaiser's empire. With this distraction, using her position as his advisor, LeBlanc betrayed Mordekaiser and she severed his soul from his armor. After which she
Oh.
sealed the empty iron shell underneath the Immortal Bastion, casting
Shit, bro,
Mordekaiser
so-
out of the
They did him dirty.
Yeah, she said she was
But I
gonna
guess it was
lie
necessary.
with him, and then freaking stabs him in the back. That was that's not great.
Yeah, but again, I think it was necessary because he was just killing just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
It was not even because he needed to conquer. Like we know Noxus conquers because they don't grow resources where they are, so they had to go somewhere else.
Hmm.
He wasn't even doing that.
No,
So I guess, yeah.
no, he was just having fun.
Yeah.
material realm again. But while at first look this seemed to be a flawless victory, it all led to Mordekaiser's ultimate plan. You see, the
Oh?
reason why during Mordekaiser's second reign he only massacred and destroyed was because he wanted to kill as many mortals as possible so he could funnel all the dead souls into his previously empty realm.
Jesus Christ!
My
So
God.
all of the people he killed, all of their souls are in that realm that he left. So now his soul's back there
Which was
with all of these other ones.
That kind of worked out for him.
Yeah.
now known as Mitnaraknun. And after LeBlanc banished him back into his realm, he could see the endless ocean of souls he brought here. And so, of course, he immediately started forging the worthy into powerful warriors, while the lesser souls were just turned into bricks, which would be used to build a new undead empire. This
Bro,
would be
that is so nuts. That
I
just
know.
no, bro. Mordekaiser is an asshole.
Yeah.
for over 1,000 years. But now, in the present days, with a cool event where Mordekaiser shattered his own throne because he was done sitting down, he was also done building his own kingdom. And he was ready to burst out into the material realm again. And since he was banished in Noxus, it would happen right in the middle of the Immortal Bastion. And this is technically why LeBlanc started the Black Rose. She needed
Wow.
an alliance of powerful mages who would help her to keep Mordekaiser away. Preferably without the rest of the world knowing about it, because sooner or later there is a chance someone would get tempted by Mordekaiser's whispers. That's why, even though Mordekaiser is banished underneath the Immortal Bastion, the current leadership doesn't know about it. This is all by LeBlanc's design, so she can
Jesus.
protect the world from the Emperor of Death. But soon, all of
LeBlanc.
this reached another turn, since LeBlanc very quickly figured out what Mordekaiser was doing in his realm. So now her goal was not just to keep him banished. She knew that eventually he would get out. And
She
so
tried to
she
kill
started
him?
preparing the Black Rose for the inevitable battle with Mordekaiser. As a result,
Bro, that fight I want to see that like animated.
They better do
That
this animated
sounds
as a show.
incredible.
The inevitable battle between the Black Rose and Mordekaiser. Come on.
Jesus.
They started doing the most questionable things in search for power. However, outside of this hidden cabal acting underneath the Bastion, the outside world evolved too. You see, after Mordekaiser was defeated, the Noxide tribes built a new empire around the Immortal Bastion. This became the empire known as the Noxian Empire, and it was completely oblivious to all the dark power underneath it. As this empire cycled through different rulers over the centuries, below them, the Black Rose continues to acquire as much power as possible. For example, over the years, more and more powerful dark mages join them. This includes Lady Elise, the mistress of House King.
Oh, that was that's the
Is she the
spider.
spider?
Yeah, she's the spider lady from the cinematic we just watched.
Yeah.
Elise. She's cool.
Ithera,
she's
who
very
got
cool.
poisoned by her husband during the endless political games in Noxus, and who survived with LeBlanc's help, because she got introduced to Vilmor, the spider god of the Shadow Isles, who transformed her into a spider-like creature using the venom in her.
God damn, big booba spider lady?
I didn't even notice the boobage. I was just looking at all the legs.
I was just looking at all the legs.
Her body. Now, at the same time, Lord Vladimir also got a lot of story of his own. It turns out being immortal also has a pretty funny downside. You may live forever to experience a lot of things, but your brain doesn't get any bigger, so you will start forgetting things. Which is why Vladimir is constantly forgetting what happened before, and this is why every few centuries he gets a painter to paint a portrait of himself so he can remember what happened. Anyway, closer to the present days, Lord Vladimir started the Crimson Cult to recruit new talented mages, which would not only serve as blood offerings to prolong Vladimir's life, but eventually all of them would be also turned into weapons against Mordekaiser. Not only that, this spreading of Hemomancy also led into the formation of the Grey Legion, an art that allowed Noxians to be resurrected as mindless, bloody zombies to fight for Noxus again. But it also allowed them to create entirely new blood golems using nothing but...
What the hell?
But also, LeBlanc herself started hoarding interesting objects. First of all, she started teaching certain members of the Rose rune weaving. It was the art of using dark magic to put runes...
Oh, this is what what's her name? Was used in her glove to block in Arcane. She was blocking the hex tech powers with it. Mel's mom.
Yeah. Ambessa.
Ambessa, yeah. Remember? She had those runes in her arm and she would be like just like blocking magic with them.
The massive soldier had him first on the spear, and then when he died, she picked him up and put him around the arm. Yeah.
So that's what this seems to be. That's what it looks like to me. Maybe it isn't, but
onto dark steel, shaping it into weapons which would nullify magic and which would also make the weapons indestructible. As an example, this is what happened to Riven's blade. Sure, it got shattered, but because it is indestructible, it keeps reforming itself. Also, technically, the magic nullifying is why she has a shield in the game. And yes, this rune weaving is also what we saw in Arcane.
You were right.
It's the same runes on the black steel which Ambessa had, hinting that when Arcane mentioned that Ambessa stole something from the Rose, perhaps she also took this art with her. But speaking of Riven, LeBlanc is also the one who started the Noxian invasion of Ionia. There is a story that hinted that she originally started this invasion because she was looking for something powerful in Ionia, which once again would mean that she might be doing this because of Mordekaiser. And she achieved this invasion by whispering into the ear of Borem Darkwill, who at the time was the leader of Noxus, and because he was aging, she told him that there was an artifact in Ionia that would make him immortal. But perhaps more importantly, considering the latest update that is coming to League of Legends. After LeBlanc defeated Mordekaiser, she sealed away the 2 beasts he was using to conquer the world. There was Atakan, who got banished to serve LeBlanc directly,
What?
and Tybalt, who got
Wait, that big ass dude just was banished to serve LeBlanc. Holy shit! Yeah,
And she's that strong
oh
that
my
she can does
gosh,
that kind of shit.
who's that standing there in this image?
I don't know.
God
Looks like a
damn.
kid.
That's what I was thinking too. Is that Annie? Yeah, what's with the fire?
I don't know. That's the other beast.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to him.
If you see, he has a face.
vial as a tiny droplet of fire, and the droplet would eventually be put into a child.
That was Annie. That was Annie.
You're right.
Child we know as Annie. That's right. Tibbers, the fiery bear she has, is actually a form of the demon that once served Mordekaiser. Speaking of which,
What?
That's cool as shit.
That's
What?
cool as shit.
I freaking love that.
And this girl, she has the power to control this massive beast that was once used by Mordekaiser.
Yes. What the hell? And it's like a freaking toddler. Jesus.
Black Rose does this a lot. They constantly look for young, talented children, and they put them into schools and training camps where they constantly fight each other to the death until they come out and they are turned into a living weapon.
God damn, they fight each other till the death. So is that what happened to Annie then? She literally had to go. Dude, she's got some trauma.
A bunch of kids.
PTSD out here.
Examples of these children who became powerful against their own will with the help of the Black Rose are Riven, Talia, Annie, or even Rel. Rel especially is one that the Black Rose was proud of because she has the power to bend medals, with Mordekaiser being nothing but medals. Which is also why LeBlanc was really sad when Rel escaped the school. Anyway, we could also mention that the Black Rose is hiring mercenaries around the world to do special missions for them. For example, Samira's weaponry is entirely funded by the Black Rose. But lastly, this takes us to Arcane. See, now you may know that this organization is filled with dark mages, who are technically on a quest to stop the end of the world, but this may leave you asking, the heck did they do in Arcane? Well, it is simple. There are 3 big reasons why they were here. Hextech, Embessa, and Mel. First of all, Hextech is obviously very powerful, and so it makes sense that the Black Rose would be very interested in it. They could use it in their battle against Mordekaiser. But besides this, in this entire series, it was hinted that Embessa had some dark past dealing with the Black Rose. We learned that Embessa stole something from them, though what that was never revealed in Arcane, because Riot likely wants to save that for the Embessa book. I mean, they have to get people excited somehow.
What?
And it could be because that detail wasn't really important for Arcane. All we learned is
that,
that in
again,
retaliation, the Black Rose went after her son, so they killed Kino, and it was revealed that Embessa did something shady to infuse her child with a special power. And it turned out that child wasn't Kino, but Mel.
Yep.
With everything pointing at the fact that the power that Mel has now came from the Black Rose. That could be what Embessa stole. Which brings us to the third reason why the Black Rose appeared in Arcane at all. And in fact, I believe this is the main reason why the Black Rose was here. It was all very likely a setup for what is going to happen in League of Legends. Throughout Arcane, the Black Rose, and specifically LeBlanc, which is this one mysterious figure, is the one who awakened Mel's power. And in the same way they turned all the talented kids into living weapons, LeBlanc was hoping they could recruit Mel into the Black Rose, after which Mel would also help them fight Mordekaiser. Of course, for the purpose of telling Arcane's story, this would be pointless, which is why I believe the entire Black Rose story arc was used to connect the show to the game. So that if you like the show, Riot could say, hey, we do have a game that is technically connected to it. Please play it before the MMO comes out.
Please play it before the MMO comes out. Begging.
Okay, so that last line made it a lot more sense that yes, they did use that storyline and connect it with the cinematic
Yeah.
to the game.
Yeah, definitely.
Ah,
And now
this was an amazing video.
It was
amazing.
No, NECRIT explains things so well. He's a great storyteller. When things, especially in League, are a little bit ambiguous and difficult to like piece together, he really knows how to to explain everything.
Put them together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew this, but Mel is going to be a new character in League of Legends. She's never actually been a character in League, but I don't know if she's released now or, but yeah, she's going to be, which is really cool. But damn, so the Black Rose, they're wild.
Do you remember when we were watching Arcane and it was one of the like fourth or fifth when Ambessa killed the Black Rose mage? You remember?
Yes.
And we said something like, you know, like obviously Ambessa was gonna win or something, and a commenter said, hey, actually, the Black Rose leader LeBlanc, she is actually one of the most powerful beings in this world. She's actually controlling everything for like centuries now.
Yeah.
And now we know.
I mean, literally again, everything.
Yeah. And to be honest, and it's hard to say this for me because I loved Ambessa so much. Ambessa was nothing to LeBlanc.
No,
nothing.
Not at all. LeBlanc is just like, she's so powerful. She's like beyond pretty much everyone. I mean, she was able to form a plan to basically defeat Mordekaiser, but even though that obviously it was kind of Mordekaiser's plan was to be defeated at some point.
But go back to that realm.
Yeah, exactly. So or else he would have just been out there still collecting souls till someone else came along and finally killed him, and then he. Yep. Damn. So now we know a lot more about the Black Rose. One thing that really confused us a lot within Arcane was the Black Rose, because they didn't really explain it too well for us.
No.
So I'm glad we have this background now.
Like NECRIT said, there's a lot of people that thought that was unnecessary. I don't think it was like that unnecessary, you know, but they didn't develop it that much that we could really understand what the fuck was happening.
I don't think they needed to go into a shitload of detail about the Black Rose, but I'm glad we know now what we know.
Damn.
Thank you everyone for watching this what is this NECRIT video? There we go. Thank you for everyone for watching this NECRIT video with us. If you enjoyed a reaction, please remember to leave a like and subscribe.
See you in the next one.
Bye everyone.
Bye.